Hello everyone. To all the CLAT aspirants, we want to thank you first of all for the love that you have continuously showed and the trust that you repose at Law Prep Tutorial. Being the oldest institution for CLAT, we have a separate responsibility towards all CLAT aspirants. And therefore, carrying forward with that, today we are going to discuss the month of November. Alright, the month of November is also important from two characteristics. There are a lot of events that are primarily faced with one neighboring country of ours and its own diplomatic measures. Alright, so they become important in the sense of what the foreign policy of China has been. Alright, and as you know, that this past 1 year has completely changed the way the world sees China. The COVID-19 pandemic has also played a huge role in that regard. So we'll be discussing all of that in separate news. But before we move on to that, a good reminder for all of you to register yourself for the All India mock test on 4th of July. It is based on the entire syllabus of CLAT, so please make sure that you register for that, the link to which is provided in the description box. So let's dive into the month of December. So first, going with the national news. So one national news is a follow-up to one that we discussed in the month of September. It is related to the arbitration award adjudged by the Permanent Court of Arbitration vis-a-vis Cairn Energy versus India. Now this is under the same Finance Act which applied retrospective taxation. It also is relation to the same bilateral investment treaty under which the Vodafone investment case was also adjudged. Alright, so now similar to the Vodafone case, the Cairn Energy case is also very similar. There are certain oil explorations that was asked. Cairn Energy, under its subsidiary Cairn Energy India, was undertaking them. It created some amount of wealth. With that, the Indian government retrospectively taxed that income. Cairn Energy claimed that, see, there is a bilateral investment treaty between United Kingdom and India. United Kingdom is the place where we are registered and India is the place where we are working. So you cannot tax us. But Indian government stated that, see, the new law is that we can retrospectively tax you. What did Indian government do? It then seized the assets of Cairn Energy. Alright. In that regard, it was challenged by Cairn Energy before the arbitration panel, and now the judgment has come out that, see, India's retrospective taxation violates the bilateral investment treaty. Now, why is this important? It is in relation to retrospective taxation plus the bilateral investment treaty. So, two obligations that arise under it. Now, why is this important? Is important from India's investment point of view. As I've already told you, investment or foreign investment comes when there is certainty in the laws that apply. That when I do an investment, I expect the law to remain the same over the time period of my investment agreement. In that regard, the retrospective taxation that the Indian government filed was a interjection between that consistency. Alright, it also creates a fear among businesses that are not in compliance with a certain law that has been brought in. Alright, so this dampens investment mood, it creates uncertainty in the market, it reduces India's image as an investment destination. So three things happen, and on two levels it was wrong. So first, that retrospective taxation cannot be allowed, and secondly, this income that you wanted to tax was barred under the bilateral investment treaty. So India was held wrong on both these accounts. Alright, so this is the Cairn Energy dispute. Bilateral investment treaties have been something that have been in news. What kind of question can come from this dispute? So first can be especially about retrospective taxation. Can retrospective taxation be allowed? It has been held to be not so the case. Alright, so that is the first very direct question that can come in your examination. Alright, then secondly, you can also be asked, this was under what treaty agreement? It was under United Kingdom India Bilateral Investment Treaty. Who decided the dispute? Permanent Court of Arbitration. Where is it based? The Hague. All right. So these are questions that become important. Then moving on, India ahead of its nationally determined contributions, Prime Minister Modi. While responding and appearing at the climate summit this year, that is 2020, Prime Minister Modi confirmed that India is well ahead of its NDCs. So under Paris Agreement, which is the 2015 Paris Accord or Climate Agreement, countries determine what their contribution towards prevention of climate change will be. So what are India's target become important. So this is obligatory, this is non-obligatory or optional. All right. Now what has India decided under this? These are two commitments that India has made. First, it will lower its carbon emission level from 2005 percentage. So whatever we were in 2005, by 2030 we will reduce it by 33 to 35 percent points. Then the second, which is optional, which Prime Minister Modi has stated that we are well in advance to commit to it, is 40% of our power generation in our GDP will be by non-fossil fuel resources, that is solar, wind, hydrogen or nuclear energy. All right, so these four clean or non-fossil based energy source. All right, so this is our commitment under Paris Agreement. All right, so this becomes important to be discussed. Then is the new Parliament House. The foundation laying ceremony of the new Parliament House was done by the Prime Minister. All right, the new structure will be ahead of where the circular building is. It will be a triangular structure. It is slated to be completed by 2022 monsoon session, which marks 75th anniversary of India's independence. So the new structure, it has been given a go ahead by the Supreme Court also. So the contractor is Tata Projects and the architect is HCP Design, Planning and Management. All right. It is also will come with the capacity to house far more members in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. That is, in Lok Sabha it can house 888 and in Rajya Sabha it can house 384. Now this house capacity is under consideration related to an exercise known as delimitation. This is frozen till 2026. All right. Now, what was India's original policy? So first, delimitation commission under the constitution is a question that can come directly in your ILAT examination or CLAT examination. That is one direct question. Then secondly, till when is delimitation frozen? And thirdly, on what basis does delimitation happen? So when India got independence, a member of house was supposed to represent 10 lakh population. Today, this figure has gone far ahead. All right. So today, for example, one member of parliament represents approximately 16 to 17 lakh population, which is far higher than what was originally envisaged in the constitution. All right. So the new Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha post 2026 is slated to house far more member of parliament. All right. Then moving on is data related to ocean resources. Ocean or deep sea mining is the new thing of world. So what has India done to do this? So one, India has permitted deep sea ocean mining, and who and where can, if an investor wants to invest in a ocean resource, where do they access that resource? Which is the agency through which they will be able to access that resource? So in that regard, Indian National Center for Oceanic Information Services has been started, which is also known as INCOIS. All right. And what is the project or the name of the platform under which this data will be provided? It is known as Digital Ocean. All right. So this is what was announced in December, one single platform where all the deep sea ocean mining resources data will be collated and provided to investors. All right. Then moving on is China plans to build a dam on the lower bend of Brahmaputra. So Brahmaputra river has three courses, alright. It starts or is known as Yarling Zangpo in China, begins in Tibet, goes across the Tibetan plateau, then bends in Arunachal Pradesh and flows into Bangladesh. Alright, now China is planning to build first power project on the lower stream of the river, which will definitely affect the flow of the river in India. So the name of the river in China, who is building the dam and where is it being built? So it is being built by Power China, which is the state-run corporation for construction in that regard, and it will be built on the lower bend of the river in Tibet. All right. Then moving on international news. So first news is an international summit that India hosted virtually. What is the summit? It is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. The 20th summit of Shanghai Cooperation took place and India hosted it virtually. India was supposed to host it physically, but because of COVID-19 it was hosted virtually. All right. So Prime Minister Modi had spoken at the summit. Who are the members of SCO? SCO members: China, Russia, Pakistan, India, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. Uzbekistan, India and Pakistan are later entrants of SCO. It had started as Shanghai 5 as an organization. All right. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization was like a amalgamation of Asian or Central Asian economies. All right. This was to place China at the center of the investment in Central Asia or Central Asian region. All right. Now 2021 is celebrated by SCO as the year of culture. Under this, what is India doing? So India will be hosting the first SCO exhibition on shared Buddhist tradition to be organized, where the National Museum of India and SCO Food Festival in India will also be held. A food festival where food cultural habits of member nations will be at display. All right, which will be done by India. Okay, so this is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Its members, we have also discussed about RATS and New Development Bank. All right, RATS is the anti-terror segment of SCO. All right, and then there is NDB, which is the New Development Bank. All right, so both those things also become important. We had discussed this in depth in the newspaper series, the link to which will be provided in a pinned comment. All right, then moving on with Legion of Merit by United States. So confirming the closer ties of US with the Quad countries, our Prime Minister along with Prime Minister of Japan and Australia were awarded the Legion of Merit award. Okay, so this all three Quad member nations were awarded the Legion of Merit in the Chief Commander category, which is awarded to head of states. Okay, it was first awarded in 1942 around World War II to recognize allied countries to United States of America. Okay, in the newspaper series we had also discussed the other Indians who have been awarded the Legion of Merit award. It becomes important especially because the first formal Quad summit took place in March. All right, and in relation to that, Quad has now become a formal entry into India's foreign policy. It is closer to what India imagines for a free Indo-Pacific region. Okay, so it becomes very important. It is also slated as anti-China front of the Western countries. Okay, so therefore the Legion of Merit award becomes an important entry for your award section this year. Then is the Abraham Accord, or the relationship between Israel vis-a-vis Arabian nations. So in 1945 and 47, when Israel was formally created as a country by Britain, earlier the region of Palestine was a colonial territory of Britain. just like India was a colonial territory. So similar to what British did in India, it divided India into India and Pakistan. Similar to that, Britain proposed to divide the state of Palestine into Israel and Palestine, one for Jewish, the other for Arabian ethnicity. This division of an Arabian state to accommodate Israelis or Jewish people and create a new country was seen as a Western conspiracy in 1947. So the Arabian countries had not accepted it and had gone to war. Since then, Israel had won the war and had occupied the entire territory of State of Palestine. In protest of that, till now Arabian countries would not have formal relationship with Israel. However, this has changed in 2020. How has it changed? 4 Arabian countries, which is Sudan, UAE, Bahrain and Morocco, recognized formal diplomatic relationship with Israel. What does this do? This puts at the centrality or corrects the narrative that Israel is now a formal state and it is not going to go anywhere. Secondly, it diminishes the cause of Palestinians in the sense that now the strong stand of Arabian countries who are neighbors and considered closer to Palestinians, that as long as you continue to occupy Palestinian territories, we will not trade with you. But because of Israel's trade and especially its security infrastructure, digital security infrastructure, which all these Arabian countries need, which has now led to normalization of relationship between Israel and Arabian countries. So the reason why they are doing it, how it affects the cause of Palestinians, and what it means for Israel are 3 important points that can be asked to you in CLAT 2021. Just because it was asked in CLAT 2020 doesn't mean it may not be asked again. All right, so please make sure that you know about this. Then moving on, is KP Sharma Oli recommends dissolution of House of in Nepal. This is about the constitutional crisis that the Prime Minister of Nepal has created. What did he do? So he was supposed to abdicate his seat towards the other political party person, which was an agreement, an internal agreement post the 2017 election. He had also come in criticism for his handling of COVID-19 pandemic in Nepal. Because of this, now under pressure, what did he do? He played a political game and recommended that let's dissolve the house, let's have fresh elections, which was accepted by the president of Nepal, that is Bidya Devi Bhandari. Now what happened? Opposition parties went to the Supreme Court of Nepal. This dissolution was cancelled. But what happened eventually? The Supreme Court also split the Nepali Communist Party. It formalized a split. So the party that was in majority lost its majority. So someone had to stake claim to form a government. No one was able to form a stable government in the provided time period. So the president, who is a closer ally of the prime minister, once again sworn him as interim prime minister. Now the opposition claimed that see, they have the numbers, but KP Sharma Oli did not let them take a vote in the house, and at the same time recommended a second dissolution. So this is the constitutional crisis that is now engulfed Nepal. As of today, KP Sharma Oli is a interim prime minister with the new poll slated to happen in November 2021. Alright, so these are the flow of events. We have discussed the constitutional provision, that is Article 76, which provides that unless it is confirmed that no one has majority in the house cannot be dissolved. The opposition parties are claiming they have the majority. So the matter now is once again in the Supreme Court. Nepal being closer to us, and it's part of constitution and current affairs for us in CLAT 2021. Then moving on is wolf warrior diplomacy of China. This is the concept of diplomacy that China operates under Xi Jinping. What is wolf diplomacy? It can be understood basically, let's say I am a diplomat of China. All right, my intention will always be to defend my country come what may. So for example, countries have criticized China for its Xinjiang province actions. What has China done? It then starts going on an offensive against them. Rather than responding what I am doing or telling whether I am doing something correct or not, I will start pinpointing their mistakes. All right, similarly, what I will do is I will defend my country to the tilt, and it also points out a siege mentality in diplomats who are supposed to be heroes of or defenders of their country outside the borders of China. Alright, it is from a cultural movie that became very popular in China. It is a sign of two things. First, rising expansionism of China. For example, recently Chinese diplomat in Bangladesh stated that Bangladesh should watch its step whenever it engages with India because it can affect its relationship with China. Similarly, it also warned Philippines and countries in South China Sea to mend their actions and relationship. So this is rising expansionism of China, and secondly, a confirmation of Chinese mentality that they are now the big player in Asia and everyone should pay heed to them. So the diplomacy policy of Xi Jinping is recognized as wolf warrior diplomacy. So this is the passage, that a link to which you will find in the description box. All the passages that are in revision series are linked in the description box. Please go through it to understand. It is very important from perspective of China and its diplomatic actions. Then the next news is about the Brexit deal. Now, December was the month when Brexit was formalized, that is Britain's or United Kingdom's exit from European Union. European Union is a trade bloc, world's second largest trade bloc, alright, the one with the richest countries in the world. It confirmed, based on 2016 referendum in United Kingdom, the Brexit deal was confirmed, alright, which is the trade arrangement between United Kingdom and European Union post 2020, alright, when Brexit becomes formal. European Union was created through the Maastricht Treaty in 1992. UK is the only country to join the bloc and then leave it. Originally there were 12 countries, today there are 27. Okay, then moving on is Chang'e 5 probe. This is the 5th craft of China for lunar exploration. India, for example, has launched 2 missions, Chandrayaan 1 and Chandrayaan 2. This was China's 5th. This was their first lunar sample back mission. That is, the mission will go land on the lunar surface and then bring back samples. It was successful. It launched on 1st December, returned to Earth on 16th with 1,400 kilograms of lunar soil. Alright, so the rocket, which was launched March 5, and the site from where it was launched, which is Wenchang in China. Alright, this was their 5th mission in total and the first lunar sample back mission. It landed on the near side of the moon. Remember, China is also the first country to land a rover on the far side of the moon, alright, which is also known as the dark side of the moon. Alright, then is another news from China only, is about China successfully starting a artificial sun. The sun, which is the source of energy of life on Earth, alright, is considered a nuclear fusion reaction, alright, that continuously there is fusion of atoms that takes place on sun, which generates energy and heat. Now China has started its own artificial sun, which is a nuclear fusion reactor. Till now, every nuclear reactor that we have in India uses nuclear fission, that is breaking of atoms to create energy. Fusion is a far more sustainable and non-waste generating method. So what is the reactor name? HL2M Tokamak reactor, slated as artificial sun, uses the technology of nuclear fusion, can generate temperatures up to 150 million Celsius degrees, which is 10 times the temperature that is on the core of the sun. All right, it is located in Sichuan province. All right, so if you are asked a question, where is the artificial sun of China? It is in Sichuan province. What is its official name? It is the Tokamak Reactor. Then the last news in December month is of Johnny Mullagh. So just like a lot of American countries, Australia was also primarily based by Aboriginal population. But when the Western countries, especially the British, they discovered the island, they inhabited the population or the island with their population. All right, but of late there has been recognition of the Aboriginal community of Australia. In that regard, Johnny Mullagh, who is the Australian cricketer, has been inducted in the Australian Hall of Fame. He is the first Aboriginal cricketer to be inducted. He was member of the first team that toured England in the 19th century. All right, so his name, what is his identity? Aboriginal Australian, inducted in Australian Hall of Fame, first Aboriginal to be done so. So on that note, thank you so much. If you like the work and the series, please give us a thumbs up, and we will see you in January 2021 segment.